What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 8 of the Cinematic Boys Reviews. Today, I got Sammy on here. Bilal's not on
What's
here
happening, guys?
today because, of course, he's on Ramadan. Sammy, how you doing, my guy?
I'm doing great. Miss Bilal, excited to see him soon, but it's good to be here. Thank you for having me again.
Of course. So, for today's review, we're starting off the MonsterVerse, leading up to Godzilla X Kong and the New Empire. So, of course, the first movie in the MonsterVerse franchise, I think you could call that,
Yeah,
is Godzilla 2014. So a little backstory on this. Let me pull up the letterbox real quick. Which, Sammy, have you got a letterbox yet?
I downloaded the app, and that's one step of the way.
One step
It
closer.
re-
There we
it
go.
really is. It really is. Wait, actually, I might have filled it all out. Let me double check. I love how we start on our phones.
I always do this.
Here, you can see what I'm doing, everyone.
Godzilla 2004.
Allow. I did. I have one now.
Okay, what's your
Here's
username so everybody
here's my.
knows?
Here it is for everyone to see.
Sam Wise. Oh, is that like a Lord of the Rings reference?
It is Lord of the Rings reference. Do you see that flash happening?
Yes, I
I
do
kind
see
of
that
like that. That's
happening.
cool.
So Godzilla was it came out 2014. It's directed by Gareth Edwards. This movie stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, Elizabeth Olsen. I was about to say Olivia Olsen. I'm like, why?
No, you're
Um,
good.
Bryan
What's
Cranston and some other people. So
good
s-
cast?
yes, good, really good cast. So Sammy, get into this. Is this a first time watch for you? Was this a rewatch? If it is a rewatch, is this your first rewatch? Your second?
I don't remember if I rewatched it prior, so I want to say it was my first rewatch. I remember seeing it at a drive-in in 2014, like when it first came out, like 10 years ago in this summer. It was really cool. I think the experience of seeing it was honestly more enjoyable than the movie, at least from rewatch now. But I remember having a good time and like at least whenever I was younger, enjoying the film and thinking it was like a good step.
So this is my first time rewatching this. The first time I watched this was back when Godzilla versus Kong came out, and I was like watching all the movies leading up to it. So I watched it over my phone, just the smallest screen you can get of all time. You watched it on the big screen, I watched it on the little screen,
No, whatever
but
works.
true. But with that being said, Sammy, what are your thoughts on this movie? Spoiler free at first.
Okay, so spoiler free. I don't think it's that good. I think I think there's good things about it, and there's a lot that I enjoy about the movie. But there was also didn't work for me, and I feel like it's more. I don't even think a lot of the movie is necessarily like terrible on execution. I think it's just not aged very well. And it's just it's certain elements and seeing certain people that were behind the film now versus then is drastically different.
So is that
What
for your thoughts?
at least like getting into it at least. What about
Okay.
you? What did you think?
Um, for me, it's cool. It's a monster movie. I like those type of monsters movies. Big like monsters fight each other and stuff. But the only thing that bothered me was the human aspect of this movie. I don't know why the American version of Godzilla, they put more story into the humans than they do the monsters. Kind of like, for example, Godzilla minus one. They had a good story side to the humans, but we got to see more of Godzilla on the screen and action. And the story for the humans like felt better. It's like the story for the humans is kind of like iffy because especially once we get into spoilers, I will explain why because I noticed it on this rewatch except the first time watching it. But that's it for me for my thoughts. Let's get right into spoilers real quick. So Sammy, What is your thoughts, at least with spoilers?
I think if I had to get into spoiler territory,
Yeah,
a lot of the film that works for me is towards the end. I really like how everything starts to amp up. You start to get a lot of tension. The way it covers the Godzilla monster attacks in general from the Mutos. Is it Mutos? Mutos? I can't. Is it, I
I
think
think
it's
it's
Mutos.
Mudos.
Mutos, yeah. And how I like how there's a lot of montage editing where you see insane shots of destruction all across America. So it kind of builds that scale really fast. Versus like other movies where I feel like they definitely like in the more Japanese films where they take their time to show you a town. While I like that, I think for the scale of doing it in America and making it a national threat and just not a city or a specific area of a threat, it really helped like push that conflict, especially later on in the film. I really like the final fights. And I think it's because everyone shines a lot more there. The acting's a lot better. The framing of a lot of the shots, whether it's a close up of one of the monsters through like debris, which I really enjoyed, or if it was like a almost like a crane kind of like helicopter shot of like Godzilla fighting Mito, the way he takes out the last one
Yes.
is hard as shit. It like that. It like literally was like jaw drop. That shit was beautiful. And so that's what I got. Like what I said, like I enjoy elements of the movie, but like for example, I don't really. I really like Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's a great actor, but I don't think he was there at the time of this movie. I think he's obviously grown with the art and his work as time's gone on and has grown to be a better actor. But his performance in this movie was very weak, in my opinion. It felt very stereotypical. It didn't really feel like it left an impact at all or that I really cared. And when compared to other members in the cast, it's very noticeable. Specifically his father. The fact they got Bryan Cranston, I was in this movie. If we go ahead and talk about that, Bryan Cranston being in the movie, he does the best he can with what he's given. And I will give him that. And his acting is phenomenal. And
Yeah.
obviously timing of when it was released, it was a big deal to have Bryan Cranston considering Breaking Bad only ended a year prior to the film's release. So everyone was still very fresh off the coattails of that show and the hype around it, and seeing him in that role and still being 100% what he can do, even in for Godzilla, was nice to see. But then you see like Aaron Taylor Johnson's responses and performance, and granted, some of it's the script, some of the dialogue's a little, Hollywood kind of one-linery, very simple, surface level sometimes. But like there's times where you really get to see like the character shine. Like I believe Ford, Ford, like the character itself is very like Avatar-y to me. Like I see a lot of Jake Sully in him, where it's just like, okay, you're very surface level military dude. You had some shit happen, but we're not really gonna dive into it, and now we're gonna follow you through the whole thing. Um, but I don't know. As like I said, like there was elements of it I enjoyed. I liked how they gave a lot of odes to the original Godzilla, especially in the intro, and how they shot some of like the footage of them like bombing Godzilla. And I like some of the music and like sound cues that they do throughout the film. And the production design, the debris production design, I don't remember it being that good. Like it was really like I like that they definitely blend the CG with the real, but a lot of the like physical debris is very noticeable, especially after Vegas gets destroyed. I think that was the first time I really like took note of it more and was like, holy shit, like somebody did their job. Um and so I gotta give them credit for that. But Dakota, what about you?
So like for my thoughts for my pros for this, like spoiler territory. Like you said, the monster scenes are good. Like the final fight. Not only that, but like the cinematography. So you know when they jump out of the plane.
Yes.
Yes,
That
that
shot.
shot. I'm like that because it's literally if you have the Blu-ray copy, That's mostly like what it is, but without Godzilla in the middle. It's
And I
like
like how they do the
dark.
first person and then cut to the long shot
Yeah.
of them like that. Like it's gorgeous. And Gareth Edwards and his VFX team know how to like create something visually spectacular while also just knowing how to frame a beautiful area.
So my biggest thing for this is they make guard Godzilla smart. So in the 1998 one, it's more like he's like like a dumb dinosaur. So
I can't stand that movie. I'm gonna go ahead and say that before we continue. That is how you fuck up Godzilla.
true.
At least in my opinion. I don't know anybody that actually enjoys that movie, but if you do, God rest
I
your
liked it
soul.
when I was little, but it's like after thinking about it, it's like, and after watching these, it's like they didn't do the best adaptation. They kind of like just threw some crap together.
Yeah, but I mean, like when you're like 5 or something, it's Godzilla. Like you're not gonna. Of course, you're gonna love
And I
it.
think they were trying to like gain like the because where Jurassic Park just came out, they were trying to like
Yeah.
get on that momentum because everyone was hyped after Jurassic Park.
And
And
there
they're
was
like,
such a dinosaur craze in the 90s too, with like Dino Crisis and stuff for like video game consoles. And
yeah,
like you said, like Jurassic Park really just pushed the monster genre, even though that wasn't even what it was aiming for. I would argue, you know?
true. And let me think real quick. The fights, that cinematography. I like the way at the end though. It's like all these other places when they fought, it's like it was still bright and stuff outside, and you had the smoke and everything. I like the disaster of how much debris and smoke and everything. It blocked out the sun and made like San Francisco all dark and like mean.
It has like a very gray, ashy tone, which it opens with ash, which I liked how it kind of
Oh, the
contrasted.
title
Really,
card. That was
yeah,
a good title card.
yeah. So I really like how they kind of go back to that, but way more extreme. That's something else I don't really like about this movie that I want to get into is how it pulls a Man of Steel, where they show you an insane level of destruction and death and massacre, and then expect the audience and the people in the film to see the person that caused that to be the hero and their god.
Kind of like
And it's
Godzilla.
well, yeah, like Godzilla, they do that in Godzilla, but like in Man of Steel, for example, like they level Metropolis. There's
Yeah,
like
like him as
nothing,
Zod. Like
and they're like, "Oh yeah, woo, Superman did it." And obviously, when BVS came out, they did the perspective of, well, Superman really fucking killed people. Like this is a big deal. We have to address this, which I
because we
liked
saw
that they did that.
saw it through Batman's perspective.
Yeah, but I mean, when it originally came out in 2013, that was a major complaint people had was like, or like Transformers did that too with Dark of the Moon, where like Chicago is fucking done, dude. Like Chicago, like that's the thing that really bothered me about this movie is like Godzilla commits like 29/11s in like an hour, and they frame him as a savior, and everyone's like cheering for him. And I get it's because he killed the villain or whatever, but it's not believable to me as an audience member, nor as in other Godzilla like films, if we're comparing it, that the humans see that as a victory or a win. If anything, it's counter Godzilla, where like it's Godzilla's always supposed to be not only a spectacle of like beyond human comprehension, but it's also like anti-human as much as possible. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something that I had like I liked how they addressed Godzilla in a different perspective, but the framing of him as a savior at the end really just confused me. And I just wasn't really sold on it. And I think it's a weird perspective considering the history of Godzilla and like what Godzilla even is as a concept.
So, Sammy, you have a complaint about that. That's how this is in this universe.
See, like I don't know. I'll be more open for the other films, obviously, because like I'm sure they're gonna like continue building off of that. And like I said, I haven't seen them, so I can't say anything about those films. It was just like I don't know. There was just some moments where there was just not the sauce, as Bilal would put it. The sauce wasn't there, and there were times where it was, where like we talked about with the end scenes, where it was just like everyone went ham. Because I'd even say the cinematography is it's weird. It's like hit or miss sometimes. And I don't even think it's cinematography. I think it's more color correction.
Yeah.
Like there's some scenes that are very like MCU gray. You know what I mean? And it's just very like there's not a lot of thought put into it and it seems kind of bland. But then there's other shots where like when they're fighting in the city where they use like they know how to like color correct really well and make things flash. For example, the airplane scene at the airport where
Yes.
all the like the planes explode and you see like the flame and that's the main source of light and it's this bright reddish orange and then it illuminates like kind of a brownish green of Godzilla's massive foot. That is phenomenal. Like that kind of like those scenes where they really just go ham in every framing, cinematography, color correction, implication of Godzilla. It's perfect. It's just like it's very scattered. And I just wish there was I honestly wish there was more Godzilla. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Dakota, I don't want to keep talking. I feel like I'm saying too much.
You're good.
Yeah.
So oh no, there's not as okay. Another pro. Brian, you're right. Brian Cranston was good in this. Like you
He's
said,
dude, he cries and like everything. I loved it.
all the emotion of the scene when he's waiting on his wife of what was it Ford's mama to
Yeah.
come back. That cry and the emotion, like you gotta come on now, and the way he looks at her through the glass, and when the door closes, it shows like it shows him like when he was in Breaking Bad as Walter.
I like especially like when he brought up how he broke down. That's exactly what I was thinking. It was very he he almost like oversells the role. Like most actors would never like at least like not be able to go to that level in this style of film. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't
Yeah,
expecting him even though I know Bryan Cranston to even do that. And so when he does it you're like, "Oh wow, you're going the extra mile." And that's the same to go for Elizabeth Olsen. I feel like she is phenomenal in this movie. From her I mean her entrance is very like, like standard like Hollywood entrance for somebody, I guess. But like as the film progresses, you see how she depicts emotion and just like this sense of like urgency. And it's just it really sells her struggle and like just trying to literally survive and get out of her situation in the city as Godzilla and everything's happening.
yep, yeah, you are right. My goodness, you just took everything out of my mouth about. Um, but for me, I got a lot of negatives. I mean, a lot of
I
negatives.
got you. Yeah, I didn't mean to overtalk. I'm sorry, man.
No, no, you're good. You're good. But there's like you. When I look at this movie, I'm like, there's not a lot of pros though, because of course you think Godzilla. Literally, when you look on this cover right now, you see Godzilla, right? So you're thinking Godzilla movie, not we're gonna have right now getting to negatives. Godzilla shows up like 59 minutes into this movie. This is his first appearance. I'm
Thank
like,
you. Thank you.
you
Someone had
call
to say
this
it.
Godzilla, and he shows up halfway through the movie.
And I don't like considering it's been a decade, I did not remember waiting that long to see Godzilla.
Me either.
I
Like in the
get
3 year time span I watched this, I'm like, I thought I thought I got here quicker. I'm like,
they really wait till halfway to even do it. And like there's certain things that I like that they wait on. I like they wait on the atomic breath.
yes,
That's a big deal. And I really like that like their way of doing it wasn't 100% how I do it, but I really enjoyed like how their interpretation of it being more of a flame. Um
yeah.
and like how he can grow the intensity of it as he does it.
Or like the one, 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 one. It's kind of like a Godzilla minus one. You know how it's spikes were like shooting up, and
And
it
they like
like built up.
illuminate.
Yeah, it's kind of like what this Godzilla did. It's like builds up, then uses it. But I need to talk about this. This has been driving me crazy ever since the movie. Okay, so Fort's dad dies, right? Bryan
Yeah.
Cranston's character dies. Oh, then he calls Elizabeth Olsen's character. He's like, "Dad's dead." That's the last time we hear about his dad. It's not like, "Dad, this is for
Yeah.
you." It's like, well, we just threw his character off like a bridge. Like he didn't matter. It's like we got all this information right here. This is the man that knew everything, and it's like nice. He just died and just brush him off. Then
And it's especially weird considering how much they build up his character and story at the beginning and how much time they dedicate to do that instead of showing
and
Godzilla,
he was big in the marketing also.
which makes sense for the time. It's just I would even argue now if they had a movie with Bryan Cranston, a massive like blockbuster like that again with Bryan Cranston, and he was barely in it, they would still do the same thing.
Have you seen Argyle yet?
I haven't.
He is a lot in the movie, but it's kind of like that. You know how he was in the main marketing.
Yeah.
I think ever since, because if you look at Bryan Cranston's career, it was like Malcolm in the Middle. It's like it was his funny in his side because of course he played the dad in that. Then he got into Breaking Bad. It's like a serious role. Then after that, he started getting like Godzilla. Then in like Argyle, he gets like his comedic side back. But of course, you know who Bryan Cranston is, so they go put him in the marketing. It's kind of
Yeah,
like how they. It's kind of like how they did with Henry Cavill. It's like everyone knows Henry Cavill's Superman. Let's put him in the movie and market the crap out of him. Or like Dua Lipa, biggest musician right now. Let's just put her in the trailer and push it out because everyone knows if Dua Lipa's in this, they're gonna come watch.
and I mean, if they've already seen her in something else, which everyone saw Barbie, it's rare to meet people who haven't seen Barbie, but you see her in that as well, and like other artists, like John Cena's in it for
Yeah,
like 10 seconds, and it's like, okay, that's cool.
but let me think of more negatives because there's a. Oh yeah, when you talk about Aaron Taylor Johnson, right there, he's in this still in his kick-ass phase because that's mostly the only thing that he is known for before this is kick-ass.
Which Bullet Train helped him so much. That's still my favorite movie with him
Like
in
he
it.
had like
So
after this he had Bullet Train. He had even Age of Ultron because Age of Ultron was after this.
it's weird that between 1 year they're married,
It's
and then the
weird.
next year they're siblings,
It's
and
weird.
it's
Like
not Game of Thrones.
it was so weird watching that. Like the brother and sister in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm like, just feels a little bit weird watching this right now.
It was very strange, but like, and it's just very noticeable. Like Aaron Taylor Johnson doesn't have any sense. He's got this stoic soldier like thing going for him, but it's so much that he has no sense of urgency. So you
No,
don't ever feel like he's at risk, even when he is like in the shit. He doesn't ever feel like he's gonna be at risk or die. Like Elizabeth, like I said, when you see Elizabeth Olsen like practically crying and screaming and running, and then you just see him
especially
like,
when they're under the like all that rubble and she's crying when they're fighting.
yeah, like for that specifically, like you see that and you're like, holy shit, like she could die, like this is a big deal. The conflict's getting intense, and you see Aaron, but like 40 minutes ago, you saw Aaron Taylor Johnson be like, yeah, my dad died.
The only part I kind
And
of
it
like
just like, what?
felt like he could have died was at the end, kind of like when he just like gave up.
And that was that. Let's talk about that shot with the bomb
Yeah.
in the slant, the
Oh
canted angle, which
yes,
I'm not major fan of a modern canted angle in a lot of Hollywood films. To me, it's very 90s, but it was a beautiful shot. Like I completely forgot about that scene in the movie, to be honest with you.
Was that there or was that a split diopter?
Was it what?
A split diopter.
A split diopter? What are you talking about?
Okay, so you know how like it's like two shots and it looks like a piece of glass is like right in the middle reflecting it off.
I can't remember. I just remember it being like you see the ocean in the background, and then you see him like dangling, and then
Yeah.
all of a
Oh,
sudden there's a flash of light, and then it like that the light they use the light to like transition to the next scene.
no, I love it. I'm like they saved him from the boat. He's just gonna fall out of the helicopter.
Yeah, I know.
He's
Like
like
he's
laying there.
literally
I'm
like,
like, oh, he's just gonna lay out of the helicopter, just fall out
and it's like God, like dog. Somebody grab him and yank. Like
because
this is a
like,
soldier's life.
oh, the kid. I do not like the kid in this.
It's not even like I'm weird with child actors because it's like there is very strong talent with certain child actors, but I never really get super critical. But I don't know, there was just not a lot like going on for me. So like, he was. I don't really feel anything for him. Not that that's obviously like a kid's a kid, but like in the movie, like there was just as a character, I was like, okay, it's the kid. Um,
He for me he seemed like a
that's
little
just yeah.
dumbfounded though. He's like
Yeah, he was
he
definitely
just
like
stood there. He's like,
conveniently dumb for the plot.
oh, especially like what was it? Like when the disaster was happening, he was just sitting there in the bus, like, I'm going to the stadium.
Yeah, he's just like hype, and everyone's like freaking out. There's tanks and shit. The I think there's also a lot of times where like the plot's convenient for the movie. You know what I'm saying? For example, like when he has like the Asian kid in Honolulu, Akiko, and then the parents are just magically survived and are right there.
I
When
know.
he just saw a tsunami destroy all of Hawaii. Not all of Hawaii, all of Honolulu.
Is that where it was at? Honolulu?
Yeah, at least
Okay.
for that scene, because that was whenever he goes from the East Coast to the West, well, East to West, and he like goes towards like San Francisco.
Um oh,
Yeah.
what do you have? What's more just like thoughts? I'm trying to like that you have. I'm trying to get some collective because it's like it seems like there's so much in this movie and they compact it into like this little tiny runtime.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of ideas they want, and it's
But they
just
don't
too many.
execute them.
Yeah, it's just too many. And I honestly would have rather seen more of Godzilla. That's the one thing I felt like was just like I get making your audience wait. I get the anticipation factor. But there's a limit with that. And I feel like by an hour you're like, "Come on. Like we're halfway through the movie. Please show me Godzilla once. Like let me see him. Let me be able to see him do shit." And like when he is destructive, it's phenomenal. I think the CGI's held up really well considering the market right now with how VFX are. And obviously it's a different world now and a different industry for VFX than it was 10 years ago, but it still holds up really well. Um and I was really happy to see that. And that was definitely something that like kept me into the movie. I feel like honestly, the effects were the one thing that never like really took me out of the movie, which is usually something I kind of look for now whenever I go into a film like that.
So I like you were talking about the airplane scene, the airport scene.
Yeah,
When you see all the explosions, then you just see his foot come down. It's
it's
like
so awesome.
it's like if that was an IMAX, I bet you that was an IMAX shot. That would have like been great to see because of course you got all the colors and everything, like you said. Then all of a sudden that big foot just comes down, and his when he I don't know when he cries when he roars. I think that's some good stuff.
And I like that it's very much its own, but it echoes like the original Godzillas and the Godzillas that have come before it. And that was something I was glad they kind of saved. Cause like it was cool seeing him show up and like, get a little rowdy, but then when he's like towards the end of the film when he finally like roars, it's like, oh my god. You know what I mean? Like you get that it's classic Godzilla feel. Um it really just kept me into the movie and making me want to like see what happened with the ending fight. And I thought it was cool that it was a 2v1 fight for him to win.
Oh yeah, I thought that was cool also.
Even though I feel like it was weird the timing of the second villain. I felt like this it should have just been 2v1 the whole time. But I definitely thought it was interesting to choose that for the final fight, and it was a good fight. I feel like it would have been interesting if I had to like rewrite the script. I would have rewrote the flashback and shown Godzilla destroying the plant when it happens. Or no, was the plant Muto?
Yes, it was that.
Okay, so never mind. That wouldn't have made
Because
sense.
it
That
was
was
the
yeah, the Godzilla being out of the equation until
yeah, because the
it
only
was
time you see
convenient was
Godzilla in the
weird.
beginning was when they were shooting the nuclear bombs down in '54. Because the
Yeah,
first Muto, that's when it comes there in 1999 in the Philippines. Of course, gets in the nuclear plant. What was it? The Mel. Of course, for 15 years takes all that nuclear waste. Because remember, they also see the other like embryo thing, and that's the one that they
yeah.
took to Nevada to
Um,
be in like in the little secret station that they had.
and then it invades Vegas.
Because of course they put it in the wrong place because they didn't know these things were like growing because of like radiation, nuclear stuff, and they literally put the other one right in the nuclear waste pit for the United States.
Which I liked that they kind of did a Chernobyl thing with the incident involving the power plant in Muto. I guess my if I let me correct what I was saying earlier. If I had to rewrite it, I wouldn't even make Muto part of the intro. I would somehow tie Godzilla into it because I just felt like it was weird for
I think it,
Godzilla to just be dormant until it's convenient without any sign that they're really there.
I think
Until
the oh no, you can
no,
keep
I'm
going.
done.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm done.
I think the thing that what they were trying to correct that the 1998 one didn't do is the 1998 one made Godzilla the villain the whole entire time. So if Godzilla did destroy the plant in the Philippines, it would make him look like the bad guy the whole entire time. While you got a Muto to do it and save all the energy, they're the bad guys. While Godzilla comes in, saves the day, and looks like the good guy. And like you, kind of like you saying, anti-hero because not only he saves the day, he also destroys all of San Fran.
And I guess I'm more interested to see how they play Godzilla more in the future films because I just really don't. I'm just not a massive fan of the savior arc or like that perspective for Godzilla. And I feel like it's one that's like, yes, he isn't necessarily bad and he does good things. And that is something that's evident in most of Godzilla media whenever they're having to fight another monster. But at the same time, a lot of Godzilla is that they're completely separate from human conflict because it's something that humans can't relate or comprehend or understand. It's completely foreign. And so I think it's strange that like the films take an approach, well, at least this film takes the approach where like it starts like that, but then by the end it's like, nah, we're like good with Godzilla now, like we're buddies.
Yeah,
Like he's gonna come back and help if shit goes south. And I'm just like,
because they were turning against him at first, and it's like then once he comes back to life, they just like literally watch him walk out of San Francisco, get in the water, and then just disappear. Which
Which,
that
like, he
is an
cleared
amazing.
that whole interstate, dude. All those cars and all those people. Like,
He's
imagine
just like,
thinking it's done, and then the motherfucker comes back, and you're
yeah, I
like,
know,
"Oh my god!" Like, we literally just sold the house, and then he just got clipped.
true. Because I think that final shot in the movie was great when he goes in the water. You see his like spine bones, and then all of a sudden it sinks, and just it's like the 5 seconds of the water, then the credits hit.
Yeah, I liked how it was just kind of sudden.
Because it's kind of like mid stairs. It's like, where is he going to go? Is he going to go back in the depths, or is he just going to go off somewhere?
And it doesn't really matter, at least for the end of the film. It's like what he's done is done, and he's going back, and we'll probably see him later. If we don't, we don't. It's just the end of the movie, you know. And I don't know. I kind of liked the way it ended, just very like,
I
all
think
right, we did it.
because I don't know if they were trying to make the MonsterVerse the first, like this was a plan when they made this first movie, or they wanted to do it after this movie was a success. But it kind of felt like how Godzilla minus one was, like the Japanese tradition of Godzilla is alive no matter what, and then he just like disappears and like you never see him until it's time.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I like about like how minus one does it is that he's becomes undormant out of randomness, out of like just nature. Like
Eh,
they to like come out of the water and do it versus like this movie is like, okay, well, we
There's
have to
bad
have a
guys,
yeah, we have to have a reason for Godzilla coming out after 60 years for no reason, and we're gonna say it's because the radiation triggers him.
or
So
it was like the communications between both of them. I think that's what he was doing. He was listening to both of them, and once they hatched, he's like, "Oh yeah, it's go time."
and I guess it just like that's the thing that makes me ask the question, like, why didn't he just destroy the egg when he sensed it? Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, they just kind of give you
I
scenarios that
think he
they don't
want
really get into.
probably he wants a challenge because it looks like Godzilla is more of a beast of a challenge than just do this and that's over. Because like kind of like I was saying, he's like smart. Like first when he kills the first one, like he waits till the first one like flies in the right move, then he hits it with his toe, so we'll stab it and kill it against the building.
Which that was awesome. The tail whip was
Yeah, he just
crazy.
looks back. He's like, "I got you, bitch."
He like squats and then it's just like
Then the
that's the
like you
definition
said,
of a bitch slap.
yeah, then he kind of like, yeah, you thought you go get me. I was had the upper hand. And the second one when he killed the second one with the atomic breath down its throat, that was
That was just
I didn't think that was going to happen. Like I didn't even remember that from the first time I watched it, and seeing that again, I'm like, this dude is mean. He was like opening up wide. He just like I don't give a fuck.
they pushed the PG-13 in this movie. And I
Yeah,
feel I like that though.
especially that final scene because you just see the head and all the stuff just coming out of the head, and
And
he
even
just
just the
throws the head
blood.
just like yeah, he just throws the head like no tomorrow.
It's ruthless, but it like accurately represents how Godzilla is in combat.
Yeah. So is that mostly for your thoughts, Sammy?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know what else I would really say about Godzilla. I feel like we've definitely while it's been shorter about talking about it, I feel like we've definitely dove into
Covered
it
most of
and
the movie.
yeah, and I just feel like this I will say if there's one more thing I had to bring up, the score is kind of weird.
Okay, I was going. That was the next thing we were going to talk about was the score.
Okay. I'll let you intro that then.
Okay, of course, you know the past couple of scores we've been listening to in the reviews. It's been Hans Zimmer, and of course Hans Zimmer is a great composer, one of the best composers. But I don't know who composed this, but the main theme I liked was the original Godzilla theme. They like trickled it in here, and I love that. But besides that, there were some moments in here that they had a good theme of like some action scenes, but it's like no one moment that I didn't make sense. They popped up the Godzilla theme, and one of the Munos was just like it was the Muno scene, and they popped up the Godzilla like theme song. I'm like, Godzilla's not even near. I'm like, why are you
Yeah,
even
like
cueing that?
it's kind of a nostalgia thing, but it's weird because you're like, okay, he's not here right now. And I figured it was Alexandre I might be butchering this name. Desplat. They also did Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. They did Little Women. So they
Like
did
Greta's,
Pinocchio. Yeah.
Greta's the one. Okay,
Oh, and the pinnacle of their career, The Secret Life of Pets 2. But overall, I mean, they have a pretty solid track record as a composer. I think it's not that it's a bad score, it's just not memorable. The only I can think of that, like, I remember being like, wow, the sound, like the music and the sound is really pushing the scene, is when they jump out of the plane and they play the choir
yeah,
and it's haunting and it's like it's the first time, and like I said, it's one of the only times in the movie where I'm genuinely like uneasy and I'm like, they might not make it. Like this is literally crazy. Um and I like that. I just wish that tonality was more consistent throughout the film. I feel like it's very like sometimes it wants to be the Hollywood 80s blockbuster, and then sometimes it wants to be the original Godzilla, and then sometimes it just wants to be a stereotypical action movie. And
yeah.
it's just kind of but it really wants to be serious. But then it's goofy. And then you're like, okay, well, like, what am I? The direction's all over the place.
But you also got to think Warner Brothers is the studio that made this also.
True. And I mean, granted, it was 10 years ago, so they definitely were somewhat of a different studio. It's still, yeah. Executives are going to get what they want at the end of the day.
I think even though that I think Legendary was a part of this also. So
Yeah,
it's like
it was both.
that's so you definitely had. I think if they didn't have Legendary in this, you wouldn't have that big blockbuster type like you're talking about. They would never have the money for that if they just went regular Warner Bros.
But like even then, I feel like the budget that they give for these films, and it's I hate to keep one, but minus one to me was just the best Godzilla adaptation I've seen in recent memory, or the just in general, like one of my top adaptations of Godzilla. And it just makes me look very critically at other interpretations. I will say this. The film succeeds in what 98 didn't do, and that was taking something from Japanese culture and making it for American audiences
And you
and
like sprinkle some
it,
Japanese into this.
yeah, and getting that and getting it to where people loved it and paid attention and liked a new iteration of it that wasn't what they were used to. While I definitely don't think it compares to a lot of Japanese Godzilla films and monster films, I think at the same regard, it definitely isn't 98. It's not even, it's at
Because
least
98 don't even
watchable.
mention it.
Yeah, it's
98
at
don't
least
even mention it.
watchable.
But yeah. I don't know if it's even watchable though. Because I think the only good thing in that one is oh, who's the main character?
Oh, I'm
Main
saying
actor.
2014 being
Oh,
watchable.
2014. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no. But the only good thing for about 98 though was Matthew who was it? Matthew. He played Ferris Bueller.
Oh, I know you're talking about. God, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm blanking on his last name. I'm googling it. Wait, wait, wait. Matthew Broderick.
Yeah. But the thing I really like is also in this one that's different from the 98 one. 98 was just set in New York City the whole entire time. While you had this one in the Philippines, in Honolulu, and in San Fran. You had it different places.
And that's what I liked about the movie is how much, while the characters in certain situations didn't sell the conflict, what the monsters were doing on the side was, and seeing like it was a massive scale all across the globe and across all of most of at least Western America. And so seeing that and being like, damn, like this is a big deal. Like it's not just this one city that everyone's used to getting destroyed or like would be a big deal. It's like, okay, Vegas, we're gonna have a plane just randomly get taken out. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that scene, I was like, oh shit, that could be anywhere in America.
because I think kind of like what another movie that you mentioned for Transformers: Dark of the Moon, done it great because you see the first one. I think all the Transformers franchise has done great with like the final action scenes because if you look at the end of the first one, it's New York City, predictable. Second one is in Egypt. Third one
That
was
was
in
cool, yeah.
Chicago. Fourth one was, I think they were in Japan for the fourth one or China.
I think it was China.
Fifth one, I think it was in Scotland or something. It was somewhere overseas.
Yeah, it was Scott. It was that was the last night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's a weird movie.
Sixth one they done in California because remember, Haley Steinfeld's character is from California.
Yeah, Bumblebee. I loved Bumblebee. That's a
Then
very underrated movie.
then Rise of the Beast they done it in was it Machu Picchu?
Yeah, that was for the last one, and I liked the last Transformers. That was a good movie.
But um I think that's the good thing that they had done with this Godzilla movie is the locations. Not only that, but the score. I think, like you said, the score's a little bit choppy. But is that mostly it for your thoughts on the score in the movie?
Yeah, I mean, outside of a ranking, I can't really think of anything else.
So on to our next little part of our episode. I'm gonna get you to guess the Rotten Tomatoes score for the critics and the audience.
Okay,
So let me pull that up
this is
real
gonna be
quick.
fun.
If I can get, come on, phone. Godzilla 2014. Okay, I got it pulled up. What do you think?
Okay,
Us critics score first.
critic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say like either 83 or like a 79.
Audience.
Like a 68.
Critics 76.
Okay,
Audience audience 66.
so I was close. I was close on
Yeah,
audience.
you
Yeah,
were close. I
but the
thought that
first one I was a little off on. But
yeah. But you said like 79 though for your second guess. So you were kind of a little close with that one. So
I mean, for when it
another thing
came out, that's a fair. That's a fair score for when it came out. I guess.
another thing I want to start right now, because where we're getting more of the high action blockbuster movies that everyone sees, I want you to predict the box office total.
Worldwide or domestic?
Worldwide. The final box office total for this worldwide.
I'm gonna say like 780 something. 780 something million.
Just 80 something you said?
No, 780 something
Oh,
million.
780 something. 524 million.
That's still pretty good though.
Yeah, that's
That's
not
like
bad.
like I said, for not being the country of origin for Godzilla or the people that made it, that's
So
pretty solid.
so the domestic was 200 million and then international was 324
What was the budget
on this.
on the film? Yeah.
It
160.
was not bad. It made
Yeah,
its
that's
money
good.
back.
Yeah, and I mean that's average Hollywood films now. So
Yeah. But let me go. Let's look up I think the only thing we got left is mostly Oscars.
Okay, yeah.
Let's
Did it
see if
have any Oscar nominations?
that's why I'm wondering too.
I think it might have been like visual effects. Wasn't.
No, it wasn't. Wow.
It had a Teen Choice Awards.
For breakout star for Elizabeth Olsen, then movie for action. Then
That's
besides that,
I feel like that's fair.
yeah, especially with the Elizabeth Olsen,
Well, let me look up the Teen Choice Awards for action that year. It was
it would be.
I gotta look at the full list real quick. It was
Divergent, Edge of Tomorrow, Godzilla,
Maleficent.
Maleficent, The Immortal, some City of Bones.
Holy shit! I'm not gonna lie, that is actually in Divergent one.
Yeah,
That's bullshit. Over Edge of Tomorrow.
I need to
That's
watch Edge of Tomorrow.
that's crazy. No, like Edge of Tomorrow has aged like fine wine. Like it is genuinely one of the best sci-fi movies. I don't understand. Like Divergent is dog shit. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. Like it's just not. It was from that phase of like young adult to like teenager like book series adaptations following Hunger Games and shit. And Hunger Games is phenomenal, but Divergent, the damn, that really upsets me. But then again, it's the Teen Choice Awards. I can't get that upset. Like,
So I think that's it mostly for the Godzilla review. So guys, getting to our future stuff. So of course, we're gonna be recording episode 10. So on episode 10 of the Cinematic Boys podcast, I think Bilal is gonna be on there.
oh,
So
let's go next Tuesday.
oh no, just a regular podcast episode.
Oh, I got you. I got you.
So I'm gonna try to watch Imaginary and see how that is.
Tell me how
But
that is.
I think it might be bad. But it's Blumhouse. I love Blumhouse. Um, of course we're gonna do trailers, movie news, all that stuff. Then next week for our movie review, which would be episode 9, we're gonna be doing the second movie in the MonsterVerse, Kong Skull Island,
Let's go. I'm ready to rewatch some Kong Skull Island.
which I'm gonna ask Bilal. He might show up. I don't know. He might. It might be a secret cameo. You never know.
We'll see.
But
guys,
guys, with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. Well, wait, before we even end the podcast, of course we gotta do. I didn't even tell you guys this because, of course, earlier today we recorded an episode, but I finally got Bilal to record our Oscars episode. I didn't even advertise this. So, ladies and gentlemen, I customized our own hats for me. One hat for me. Of course, it's got our little logo right here. It's nice. It's like I will show you guys real quick. It's like the netted trucker hat type. Of course, customize it. If you guys want any of these, let me know. Of course, I can make it like a little shot for y'all. If you don't like trucker hats, I can make like a dad hat for you, like the ones like the little button-up ones. I'm gonna maybe try to make hoodies and stuff, of course. But with that being said, the best way to push a podcast out, especially for like ours where we're a low podcast, is word of mouth. That's the best. So if you guys got friends that like movies, that enjoy watching movies, tell them about our podcast. Tell them to tell their friends about our podcast. Tell them that we're available on, of course, the social medias right below of Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X. Our episodes are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify for the audio versions. The video versions will be up on YouTube. And I'm just gonna say this right here. We passed 100 followers on TikTok, so thank you guys so much for that.
Good shit.
We are building onto 200. I've been posting mostly a lot more on TikTok, so of course go follow the TikTok if you guys haven't. And also, if you guys seen Sammy's Letterboxd, go follow Sammy's Letterboxd.
Thank you.
Because
I
of
would love
course
as many
his
friends to
first
talk.
review will be Godzilla.
It will.
So of course follow mine because it should be, if you guys go over, of course, my TikTok's down here. I'm still trying to get Sammy onto TikTok.
I know. I'm gonna get it next week. Skull Island is TikTok week.
Dude, you should just change your name to Sam Wise. That should be
Honestly,
your name.
I think that's what I'm gonna start doing. That's what I'm gonna start
You
doing.
go just go Sam Wise now.
But also, everyone, remember, hit up DMB reviews on anything about the hat if you want a hat and anything about it. I personally love the design. It's very comfortable. And I'm excited to see what other merch comes out in the future for everyone.
So, guys, with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.
Take it easy.